So we decided to just give a little preview of just like what this team looks like for any new folks that might be new to soccer, new to the Women's World Cup, and just to focus on a couple players. I mean, the roster for the U.S. Women's National Team, a lot of new players that we didn't see in 2019.
Some names you've heard of, but then there's a lot that unless you're following NWSL or, maybe Olympic Lyon, well, you probably heard of Lindsay Horan, who's now the captain, but
right, the co-captain along with Alex Morgan,
exactly. But if you're not following NWSL, maybe you haven't heard of some of these new players.
Right. But then, so the one thing I wanted to have some fun with it is just guess or decide what players do we think might surprise us, or at least three different category. So who do we think is going to be the best player, in the tournament, but it's probably going to be somebody in the U.S. Women's National Team.
Okay, well, I will ask you first, Christian, who will be the best player for the Women's National Team?
Okay, Alexis, did you hit the wrong button or you hit two of the right buttons?
No, I wanted the Eagles, right? And then
best player in the tournament, I think, is going to be Sophia Smith. I think that's pretty much a lock. She's, we saw her at the NWSL final last year. She makes the game look easy, and she makes the competition that she plays against just look unprepared to keep up with her. She is just so technically gifted, athletically gifted. She's, great with both feet. And she embarrasses a lot of not only defenders, but also goalkeepers. She puts them on their ass. She does, like whether it's a fake shot or whatever. So I think she's as long as she gets plenty of service, which she has incredible midfielders to help her do that. I think she easily is going to be the best player in the tournament.
Very cool. Remember we said we wouldn't go long on these?
No, I'm just, hammering the point in.
Yeah. You got it. I think Sophia Smith is incredible. My best player of the tournament, Trinity Rodman.
Interesting.
Now, she may make another appearance in one of the other categories, but I think Sophia Smith, while absolutely incredible, certainly going to have a lot of space because Alex Morgan is probably going to deter some of the defenders.
Yeah.
I think that's also going to benefit Trinity Rodman when she comes in, and she does everything with a swagginess that we don't often see in the U.S. Women's National Team. There is a level of confidence. There's a level of sauce. That this player has. I think she's going to be the player we're all talking about.
This is what I love about this team, and especially Trinity Rodman, because I think I had seen a interview with Alex Morgan, and somebody had asked her about like the new players, and she's like, some of the players are like almost 20 years younger and then some of the more, the veteran players, and they're like, the conversations are very different than the ones I'm having with my peers in my 30s,
right,
to the 19-year-olds, talking, like whether it's like a playlist or whatever, like they listen to wildly different music. They're like, oh, I never heard of Biggie or something. You know what I mean? That happens from time to time.
Alex Morgan just trying to listen to Biggie the entire time is hilarious. Guys, it was all a dream, right?
But I love that Trinity Rodman has found the balance because she's such a good player. She's fairly like goofy on TikTok, doing dances. She was
in a Coi Leray video.
Right. But she's also like hops on TikTok trends, and she does she learns the choreography for certain dances on TikTok. And because she's so good, nobody's like, yo, she's not focused on the game. It's just like, no, she's grittying on TikTok and also, getting braces on in matches.
They're like, finally, at least 60 seconds where she's not scoring on an opposing goalkeeper.
Thank you for mixing it up, Trinity.
Thank you, Gritty, for saving Vietnam.
I feel like you're so focused on soccer that I'm glad you're, diversifying.
Yeah, you need hobbies, Trinity. Damn.
Stop just crushing it on the field all the time. So it's great to see. Yeah, the only rebuttal I'll have is that I don't think Trinity Rodman is starting many games.
I disagree. I think
I would be fascinated if she starts.
I'm with Alexis. I think she's like not going to start in the beginning, but slowly throughout the tournament, she's going to take one of the spots.
Earn a spot.
I also think Vlatko's going to be like, okay, yeah, Alyssa Thompson, dope, but we got to find a way to get Morgan, Sophia Smith, and Trinity Rodman on the pitch at the same damn time.
Okay,
and there's no one that could stop that trio.
Yeah.
You see what I did there, Alexi? It's not that hard.
Damn, bro.
See how that goes?
It sounds like you sent him like a voice note directly right to him.
All right, let's talk about biggest surprise.
Okay, this is fun. Who's gonna surprise us on the U.S. Women's National Team? I'm gonna go with a surprise. I think will be. I mean, I don't even know how much of a surprise it is per se, but I think it's gonna be Lynn Williams. I think we're gonna get more goals.
That's a great take.
Than we sort of expect. Lynn Williams probably.
How many balls do they play with in the Women's World Cup? Because we are talking about Alex Morgan, Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith, and Lynn Williams.
I think Lynn Williams is probably not starting any game, is my guess. But when
Unless
she comes
it's a
in,
major injury or something.
yeah. But when she comes in, I think she's gonna get a couple goals.
She's an impact sub. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Super sub role.
Yeah,
for her.
I could see her leaving this tournament with like maybe 4 or 5 goals.
Wow. Nice.
So that's what I think is gonna be my biggest surprise.
Okay, my biggest surprise of the women's national team, Ashley Sanchez.
Ashley Sanchez, this is a good one.
This is why. Okay, not only do I preach. Okay, I am a member of the church.
Minister
of
Alexis.
Okay, now let me tell you. Okay, we need more than 10% of your money. I want to start with Ashley Sanchez, as who I think is my biggest surprise, because she will take the opportunity, the rare opportunity of Rose Lavelle not being able to start or play as often. I don't know where her health will be when the first few women's national team games. It's possible she misses the entire group stage, and I think in that time, Ashley Sanchez will prove to be such a good midfielder that it may be like, yo, Rose, why don't you just wait it out one more match, and it just keeps going.
Okay.
I don't think that will completely sway the other way. I think Ashley Sanchez has the goods, and she's used to connecting with Trinity Rodman. Past season, they had 14 goal connections. So I think it's going to be just a breakout for her.
Okay, so U.S. wins against Vietnam 3-0. And just another note, we had, shout out to DraftKings because we had a parlay in DraftKings. A single game parlay was right there in the app. It was wild to see. It just felt like, okay, we out here.
Yeah, trust these guys with your money. Sure.
Our logo was on there. Our parlay was all branded. It was so all professional. I'm not used to all this, okay? But we had a single game parlay, and it was Sophia Smith scores first. Alex Morgan scores at any time, and the over at least 5.5 goals. And Sophia Smith scores first.
Yes.
I'm like, let's go.
On the way to the parlay. You feel me?
All right. And then Alex Morgan, Trinity Rodman draws a penalty. Alex Morgan steps up to the spot. I'm like, let's do this. Okay.
You're already thinking 2 out of 3 for the parlay. That's pretty good. And then you're like, wait, why is the crowd reaction not what it normally is for when a penalty goes in?
And it's Alex Morgan. I mean, she is an assassin at the spot. We all know this, okay?
Bro.
And bruh.
She forgot to load the shooting bullets, because as an assassin at the spot, missed your target though. But a great save nonetheless.
It was great. I mean, it was a very poor penalty, pretty much right down the middle.
Not an Alex Morgan penalty.
Not at all. Maybe I think it was just I don't know if it's the nerves. I don't know if it was a tough game for the U.S. to score. I expected another U.S. Thailand and I think because we didn't get that, I'm a little bit worried about the what the chemistry that we have is like. So even the lineup. Maybe let's start there.
Julie Ertz at center back. What is going on?
Look, I'm not mad at it. We know she can play there. She's obviously a defensive midfielder, and this was going to be a game where. And by all accounts, I mean, she did the job incredibly well. Vietnam had no shots at all. No shots, nothing. They barely had the ball. So defensively, this worked out. And I think this felt a little bit like not the if we're facing England, this is not the lineup we're gonna see. This felt like we know we're playing against a weaker opponent, and let's give players like Rose Lavelle rest. Not really overuse some of the players. So it felt a little bit not like this. Didn't feel like the A lineup.
No, this was very much our opponent isn't going to cause too many problems for us. So let's go out with a bit of an experimental lineup, and then we can always switch it up if we need to. But you're saying up against England. England only won 1-0 against Haiti,
right?
Where you would expect,
but Haiti were better than
yes, but you would expect someone who is competing for, being considered the top dog would do a little bit more damage to a country that's still relatively new. You know what I mean? In this competition. So it's not exactly, but to talk more about the women's national team, there was a lack of fluidity, I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes. I thought that was fairly not obvious. The fluidity in what? So when I think of fluidity, the things I want to see are like certain patterns being repeated.
Yes.
Certain things like that. I thought
sort of players knowing their position and who connecting with others, having almost an instinctual sense of where other players are going to be.
I thought the game was very, very physical. Obviously, there were a lot of fouls pretty early on. Nothing too. It wasn't like the Nigeria-Canada game, which we may talk about a little bit, because that game was
pure mayhem,
legit insane. But there was. I thought Trinity Rodman. I thought she played well. Obviously, she drew the penalty. I thought she was a little bit aggressive in the sense of like holding on to the ball a little too long, taking an extra touch to set up the cross, stuff like that. Like I thought she went out wide too much as opposed to cutting inside. Like I thought was a little not the sharpest. The game got like, it was essentially they holding on to the ball a little too long and drawing a foul. Lindsey Horan did this a couple times, even though everyone played well. I'm not really criticizing anybody because they completely dominated. But when it comes to playing for that and figuring out that chemistry, that's what I saw. I saw the players holding on to the ball a little too long and drawing contact as opposed to being a little bit more smooth with it to like let go of the ball before the Vietnamese player gets to like make contact or foul you and stuff like that. So
it was a funny moment when, not funny at all, but when Trinity Rodman goes down in the first half, really early into the match.
Like 10
super
seconds
scary.
Yeah.
That part wasn't funny. The funny part was where I was a bar with like, I would say maybe 8 televisions. All of them except one had the women's national team game. So every once in a while, whoever was there specifically to watch Messi potentially make his debut, and eventually he does, would glance over at the other televisions to see what's going on with the women's national team game. And Trinity Rodman goes down, and all of a sudden you see Megan Rapinoe start to stretch and warm up on the sideline. And the camera goes right to her, zooms in, blue hair, right? Oh, kicking her legs up. And a guy behind me goes, you could hear him like change position and look over at the screen and goes, wait, she's still there? Is this the last World Cup they're showing?
Yo,
and
I didn't know what we were doing.
To be like, how are you not paying attention? But the other part of me is like, that's actually a pretty legit reaction to still seeing Megan Rapinoe. You know what I mean?
Like, we doing reruns? Damn, bro.
Yeah, damn, bro. I didn't know the World Cup was in syndication.
Netherlands better. Watch out. You don't. It's rare to get a U.S. women's national team with a chip on their shoulder, right? they have reasons to let out some frustration against the Netherlands. So this upcoming game on Wednesday, it's going to be, I know it's at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I know Fox is they have a 2-hour pregame, so it's going to be pretty intense. Is there anything? I know you also been following the Netherlands team as well. Is there any? I mean, is this are they talking about this rematch of the 2019 World Cup final? Like, what is their mindset? How do you think they're preparing for this game?
The Netherlands, I haven't spoken to their players. We saw them play against Portugal in their opener. Only a 1-0 win for them, but pretty straightforward win. Portugal didn't manage a shot until I think the 82nd minute. But I think the U.S. team is expecting to get the best version of the Dutch in that game. There's, it's a different team to some degree, completely different coaching staff. But they remember that final. Everyone in their country remembers that final. We know that the Netherlands on the men's side has been to a bunch of World Cup finals and they haven't won it. So it's 4 in total between the men and the women. And yeah, they want, I'm sure they want revenge. They want to finish first in the group. And the U.S. team knows that. They know that they're going to get the best game from the Dutch. And they're not going to be able to squander those chances. And yeah, I mean, I think, to your point, like, the first game's out of the way. Vietnam, an opponent that the U.S. team had never played before. They knew they were going to win that game. I think everyone knew they were going to win that game, including the Vietnamese. And it was just a matter of how many goals they scored. But this is the one that they've had circled on the calendar since the draw came out. Both teams, really. And, this is a real game. Like this, the Dutch are, they're going to play defensively, but they're also going to play soccer. They're going to come out. They're going to try to attack. So yeah. I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. And I think both teams are going to be at their best. You could tell that the U.S. players, like, this is the one they're looking forward to. It's not that often that they get to test themselves against the best teams in the world in meaningful competition. And this is certainly that. So, we're gonna find out a lot about both teams on Wednesday night.
What did you think of the lineup against Vietnam? Alexis and I spoke about this a little bit, and it felt like, obviously Rose Lavelle coming off the bench, and that is obvious. She's not maybe fully 90 minutes fit, but she looked pretty sharp when she got there. I remember seeing tweets in the lead up to the first match where the U.S. Soccer was posting pictures of Rose Lavelle training, and the comments were essentially like, hey, can you please post a video of Rose kicking a ball holding today's newspaper, which was such a great because everybody wanted to make sure she's okay. But given that the lineup seemed a little unorthodox, is the lineup against Vietnam, how many of those players you think will also start against Netherlands? Because to me, it felt like a little bit of a weaker lineup.
Yeah, it's funny. Squad rotation is definitely important in a tournament. In 2019, so the U.S., they had that 13-0. They put out their best lineup in the first game. Second game was against Chile, and the coach at the time, Jill Ellis, I think she started like 10 different players, or at least 9. Alyssa Nair in goal, and I think there might have been one other player that started both games. Because of the makeup of this group, a little bit different because the most important game, again, is the second game. So you want to put out your best lineup in the first match, but you also have to have an eye on that second game. And I think that's what current U.S. coach Vlatko Andonovski did. To answer your question, I think we're going to see the exact same lineup with that one exception, Rose Lavelle, who scored in that final in 2019, the back-breaking second goal that essentially sealed the World Cup win, the second consecutive World Cup win for the U.S. So I think, again, when Rose Lavelle went down with a knee injury in April, the idea all along was to make sure she was ready to come back to start in that Netherlands game. She's a unique player in the U.S. Player pool. We know how creative she is, and I think having her on the field from the start will go a long way to unlocking the defenses. She's so creative. She's a playmaker. She can score. She can set up goals. So I fully expect her to start. Spoke to her after the game. She said she told Vlatko she's capable of whatever assignment he wants from her. She can start. She can come off the bench. I said, can you go 60? Can you go 90? She said, I can do whatever. So the plan, I think, is for Rose Lavelle to start in that match, and that's the best U.S. lineup. So she's a difference maker. We saw that just in her brief cameo. I think she played 27 minutes in the opener. She hit the crossbar. She's breaking lines with her dribbling. She's such a fun player to watch. She's doing Cruyff turns. I'm sure she'll do that against the Netherlands. So yeah, really special player, and I think she's the key in a lot of ways for the U.S. in this game. But that's the only change I'm really expecting here.
Oh my God, U.S. women's national team! What
are you doing, Vlatko?
What? That is the title of this episode. What are you doing, Vlatko? Okay.
Come on.
Bro.
I used it right for once. Come on.
Finally, the board has come into use and is completely appropriate. Thank you, Alexis. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cooligans Women's World Cup Daily. My name is Christian Polanco.
I am Alexis. Please start Ashley Sanchez Guerreros.
Exciting show today. Obviously, we're going to do some U.S. Women's National Team recap. We also have an amazing interview with Carlitos Vela of LAFC. All right, that is loud.
Is it? I lowered it.
So that'll be coming up in just a bit. But let's get right to it. U.S. against Netherlands. Just a wild game. Probably it started off odd in that this is not the lineup we expected. We thought we were going to see some changes. Vlatko said,
has it been the lineup we've expected ever? Come on, Vlatko. What games are you playing with our minds, bro? Remember when all those fireworks were going off in Brooklyn and they said it was the police doing psyops? I think that's what Vlatko's doing, bro. I think Vlatko wants to make us really angry. Why? Why do we not have, if we have two center backs, why are they both not starting? Why is Julie Ertz back there? Why is Andy Sullivan still here when I think Julie Ertz could do the same job? Why is Ashley Sanchez not starting? Why is Crystal Dunn so far back? Why are we not scoring? Why is Alex Morgan missing a penalty and the rebound? What is happening?
A lot of questions. Look, I mean, to give Netherlands some credit, I thought Netherlands were very, very good. I mean, why was Crystal Dunn not all the way up? Because she had to defend it. Who was the player?
Until the second half when she was told she was allowed to go up, and all of a sudden you can do that.
Who was the player that she was marking? I forgot the winger.
What's her name? She's good too.
Brute.
Yes.
I had to watch her. She was really, really good in this game. The first quick things are just like the midfielder. I mean, it's probably Andy Sullivan probably made missed the challenge that led to the goal. So that raises the questions of is she the right defensive mid to have there?
Here's the thing. She is an incredible defensive midfielder who deserves to be on a World Cup squad for sure. I don't want to take anything away Andy Sullivan. I think she's an incredible, incredible defensive midfielder. That said, what we would be asking of a defensive midfielder are tasks that I think Julie Ertz can do just fine.
Yeah.
While presenting the national team with a bit more experience and a bit more leadership than I think Andy Sullivan provides. That said, what we are missing is a much more creative midfielder and someone who can shuttle that defensive prowess that we have to an attack. When we get possession of the ball, can shift us to an attack that no one can handle in this competition. If we get the gears turning in fifth gear or the wheels turning in fifth gear with Trinity Rodman, Alex Morgan, and Sophia Smith, there is no one on this planet or no one in this competition that could stop that. So why don't we have that? And I'm not saying Andy Sullivan isn't good enough to be a defensive midfielder starting in the World Cup. It's just right now we need someone who can do that and frees us up to start someone who can be a bit more creative. And when Rose Lavelle came in, damn.
Yeah. Made a difference.
Also one of the best midfielders in the world, but damn.
But the main issue is when the U.S. is down a goal, it's a different game. It's almost a different sport. It's just like the U.S. Women's National Team are not used to being.
I was about to say, how do you know? We only know from yesterday since 2011. Like that, bro.
No, but we've seen it in the friendlies.
We've seen losses.
We've seen those losses. And when the U.S. is down, they just play differently, and then the opponent also plays differently. The Netherlands were so cautious, so defensive. Nobody could figure anything out, and you get. It's almost like the frustration of not being able to implement their ideas is what is becomes the bigger challenge. But and thanks, shout out to Lindsay Oran for essentially saving the day, and obviously Rose Lavelle with the amazing corner.
Yes,
and
also Trinity Rodman missed by this much.
Yeah.
I mean,
there were some. I'm expecting to see some more out of Trinity Rodman. I feel like she's starting to kind of get into it a little bit.
Yeah,
she's starting to grow into the competition.
But the main person at fault here is Vlatko. Vlatko not making any
Vlatko.
subs is crazy. It's legit insanity. It makes no sense. And
that's the wrong one. That's what I think when I see Vlatko coming out.
It makes no sense.
Japanese horror film, bro.
Let me get this is the quote from Meg Linehan, because she's obviously on the ground there in New Zealand. Well,
tell her to get up. What's she doing?
Meg Linehan of The Athletic, she said, she tweeted this out. She said, I asked Vlatko about the lack of subs affecting rhythm of the game, and if he considered Lynn Williams for the second half. Response was that he was concerned a substitute could take a minute or two to adjust, but Williams was top of mind.
You have 90. 90.
You think what's wrong if it takes 60 seconds to adjust to the game? Is that the end of the world? Why would that be a reason?
If Lynn Williams had scored 3 minutes in, we would have all forgiven that 1 minute of being like, oh yeah.
I'm gonna look past those other, those 30 seconds she was like, adjusting to the game.
It's not like we asked him to make that sub in the 89th minute. Well, yeah, if you take a minute to get settled in, you don't leave us with a lot now. This is what we're starting to see is a lot of the complaints. And, I've gone back and forth, and I think so have you, where a lot of folks who maybe focus on women's soccer primarily or a lot more than we do, and we do a fair amount. I think we do a really good job of balancing it out on our show, and it's certainly with our focus. Someone like a Meg Linehan or people of that ilk who focus their attention mainly have said that Vlatko leaves something to be desired. Whereas I feel like I've taken the tact of like, yeah, I see that and I've seen it in moments, but we keep winning and we keep advancing and we keep doing what we need to do. So it's almost like a Gareth Southgate situation where he's done enough to continue in his job, but at the same time, we know what those discrepancies are. Last night was a glaring knock on the type of coach that Vlatko is. I'm sure he's a great player manager. I'm sure he's a great person-to-person manager.
Like him. We've heard that. I heard that a lot.
But if we're going to continue to talk about how sometimes the lineups he picks or the tactics in reference to the aggressiveness of the style and that continue to show up and be a situation where, look how angry we are over a draw, by the way, where we got a result in a World Cup. But if this continues to happen, it's just going to continue to build that case that you might not be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, and when it comes to U.S. Women's National Team, every manager gets judged on World Cups and World Cups alone. We all know that. The bar is winning the whole thing because that's
the bar for the Women's National Team, 100% right.
That's the job. So whether you like it or not. But
it ain't to do well, it's to win.
So there are only few times in a U.S. Women's National Team managerial career that we will see someone make a mistake or where there's room to really criticize. And really right here, it's just like I don't think Alex Morgan, Sophia Smith, and Trinity Rodman played poorly, but by the 80th minute, you would imagine one of them might be a little bit tired. You have pretty good attacking options up front on on the bench. Use them.
But I do want to take a look at the lineup.
I mean, this is the predicted lineup in FotMob.
But this is no difference than the lineup that started the last match.
Right.
Because even FotMob is like, what? He's doing no. He wrote this shit in Sharpie, bro. This whiteboard is messed up.
So, I mean, we're looking at the exact same lineup. And
give me one change you would make to the starting lineup.
And
now, before you say that, I will tell you, Charlie Davies suggested.
I saw this.
This is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He suggested that Sophia Smith should start where Alex Morgan is, and Lynn Williams should start where Trinity Rodman is. And now you would assume he would have moved Alex Morgan off to the left. No, Alyssa Thompson. So his idea is to bench Alex Morgan in a must-win World Cup group stage game.
Yes, that is his idea. I was watching it, and I'm like, and I saw the reaction you and Grella gave him. I didn't think he was crazy.
You think Alex Morgan?
I don't. Look, would I make the?
Would you tell her she's not playing in this game? And how thick of a bulletproof glass do you want to be between when you do it?
It's not the decision I would make, but I didn't think it was crazy to make the suggestion. That's all I'm saying. It's just like if Charlie Davies was the eccentric coach of the U.S. Women's National Team and wanted to mix things up, I'd be like, okay, based on the performances, I can see why he would want to try something else. And I know it's a must-win game against Portugal, but I think in every U.S. player and fan's mind, it is. There's not even a chance that they'll lose.
And you don't think it's smarter to start Alex Morgan, one of your captains?
I do.
Stop. Let me finish.
Okay.
Start Alex Morgan, and then when we're winning 3-0 in the 45th minute, be like, you know what? Second half, you're sitting. Lynn, you're in.
Do you really think they're going to be winning 3-0 at halftime?
I'm saying,
though?
I'm just if you're that confident that we're going to win, I don't think we're going to be up 3-0 in the first half.
I don't think so either.
But what I'm saying is, you would hope that if Alex Morgan is in, we're playing at our best, that she is a part of our best 11.
So I do think it's smarter. All I'm saying is not. I don't think it's stupid to not start her.
I think it's very stupid.
Okay,
I think right now Alex Morgan is listening to us, agreeing.
There has to be some level, some spectrum of intelligence and stupidity, and I don't think it's completely all the way just absolutely dumb.
If we're talking on a scale of 1 to 100, 1 is the smartest decision you can make, 100 the dumbest. I think this is somewhere in the 80s.
Wow, that's very high. No, I would say it's probably in the low 60s.
She's co-captain.
I get that, but also what did she
in a must-win? If you lose, it's your fault.
Well, you can't. You're not losing to Portugal. I'm
So
operating.
then start her and take her out early,
which I'm fine with. I'm like, argue with Charlie, not me.
Sorry, right now, call
Get
us.
Charlie here so you can yell at him.
Yeah, Christian, what time do you drive to Boston?
And if you're wondering why we are so somber, even though the U.S. Women's National Team have qualified into the knockout stages, it was not pretty, bro.
Bro, the U.S. Women's National Team qualified for the knockout stages the same way that I got into the soccer team in 7th grade, which is they said everyone's going to run 3 laps. Whoever comes in last gets cut. We have to cut one more person. I was so slow that I got lapped and finished within that group. I just stopped after 1.
What?
And they thought the guy in front of me was
Wow.
the slowest, and he got cut. That's the same way. This
That is-
national team.
What a story of inspiration. Okay,
Yeah.
if that doesn't
Also,
motivate you.
I want to let's break this fourth wall for 1 second, Christian. You know me personally.
I do.
Is there a story that more perfectly encapsulates who I am and the way I think?
Right. You just tremendous failing upwards. You know what I mean?
Just mom-mowing backwards up the stairs.
And then the coach was just like, I guess he's funny. We'll bring him along.
You know what? He's got bits. The kid's gonna play 4 games in jean shorts. We need this kind of banter,
bro. All right. So look, obviously there were a whole slate of matches this morning or wherever you were, whatever time you watched these games. I mean, just highlighting the results very quickly. Vietnam loses to Netherlands 7-0, which no surprise there. That's kind of what we all maybe we expected a better scoreline as far as for Vietnam.
Yeah. Let's remind everyone we could only beat them 3-0, which will come into play in the conversation we're going to have today, I assume.
And then Haiti versus Denmark. Denmark won 2-0. And China, scored 1 goal against England's 6. And
they were so happy about that 1 goal. I mean, this was a massive moment for China.
So good for them. But obviously the game that we're going to be spending pretty much all day talking about is Portugal against the United States of America, and we ain't looking that united, bro. It's just a bunch of American states doing what they do out there. I don't know. They're not really communicating with each other.
I saw 3 islands out there, not really unified, bro. That 0-0 against Portugal, bro. We said it on this very show that if the U.S. don't beat Portugal, it would be a catastrophic failure. We probably meant if Portugal were to win, and they were so close to doing that.
Inches away from just a complete disaster for.
They were a ball hair's length
Okay.
away.
Geez, Alexis, you need to trim, bro.
No, Christian's like, they were 6 feet away. I'm like, wait, what? Why is your ball hair so long? No?
Just cause for concern.
I straighten mine, bro. I straighten mine just so wifey's like, oh, okay.
Damn, Alexis doing a silk press down there.
Oh man, I got a perm.
Okay.
I'm looking like one of those Labradors that gets their hair.
So the keratin treatment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
something wrong with that snout, bro.
Anyway.
Why do we always go here? This was. I don't want to say the word isn't embarrassing, unless I'm talking about Vlatko. This was a third confusing game in a row. So frustrating. You know, we get on Vlatko for not making subs, and then the homie brings in a 38-year-old in the 61st minute.
Which I thought that was the smartest thing he did. I mean, let me
I
say
think she
this.
was impactful in a way, but I'd rather her in 20. You feel me?
No, I get it.
There was better people to bring in at that time.
I gotta just put this out there. I have to apologize to Vlatko Andonovski. I have to apologize publicly to him because I was upset about his lack of substitutions in the game against Netherlands. But I just realized I was apologizing for the wrong thing. I was upset about the wrong thing.
What should you have been upset about?
What should have been upset about was that this man tactically has no clue what he is doing. I was upset about the wrong thing. The subs are just the amuse bouche of problems.
Yes, you're worried about the cough, not about the disease.
Correct. I see. What I'm learning is yes, we did see more substitutions. We saw Megan Rapinoe in this game. Look, the substitution still came kind of late, which is already whatever. We know tactically that is the move, but the game overall, I mean, just the high press. First of all, this is I would assume that this might have worked in '99. This might have worked in 2003.
Feel like this might have worked in some pinche training that y'all did, but we in no big competition.
But no, now as far as now, every World Cup we're always talking about when are the other countries going to catch up? When are they going to catch up? They are caught up. Portugal, this
was their first World Cup, bro. This was their first World Cup, and they took it to us.
So, U.S. Sweden. Look, we gotta assume that Sweden. They see blood in the water. They are the sharks that see a weakened, a hurt United States. No Rose Lavelle. Wow, how are you feeling about this upcoming match?
I'm not feeling great after the last time these two teams met in a competitive match. It was in the Olympics, and Sweden whooped the U.S. 3-0. The U.S. honestly, they didn't look like they showed up. It was a really difficult loss for the United States and kind of set the tone for that Olympics games. But if any time the U.S. can show their mentality, because this is a new tournament, this is a U.S. team who, despite what happens in the group round, and we saw that in 15, they figure out a way to win games. And that's all that matters right now. You have to win this game. You have to advance to the next round. Sweden is going to cause them issues. And if we do not see this change, Christian, I think everybody is going to have more gray hairs or just less hair in general because they're going to pull their hair out. But we need to see Julia Ertz in the midfield in this game.
Yeah, I mean,
we need to see Julia Ertz in the midfield.
Absolutely super important. Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's any way to win without that change. And I'll just echo this as well. Like I think it's an interesting World Cup in that we have so many former players sharing their thoughts on like players that they just played with, or even they're talking about a team that, barring injury, they're probably on that team, and they're really sharing their thoughts. So like Tobin Heath and Kristen Press, I
appreciate that they're just like, they're not saying like, yo, Vlatko, what's your problem? What are you doing? They're not saying that, but they're just like, we need to adjust tactically and make the changes necessary. And so it's like they're saying it without saying it and calling anybody out. They're being as constructive as possible. But
which is what happened in 15. They kind of changed. They were like, we're not comfortable with how things are going. We have to change things. The team changed things is what I kind of get from this group and hearing all the stories coming out of 15. The team, you're going to get set up how you get set up, but you have to be able to adjust on the fly in the game too as a group. And that type of mentality of like, I appreciate what is given to us, but I also see what we're playing against and we're going to tweak these little things.
Yeah.
But from the coach's perspective, those changes need to be made. Alana Cook needs to play. Ertz needs to be in the midfield. And if you need be and you have to push for a late goal, you can switch to a 3-back so quickly.
Yeah.
And you still have Ertz on the field. You put another good player who's good at heading. I just don't know how Alana Cook went from starting every match to not even seeing the field yet.
Right. Yeah. It's a desperate need of changing the formation, in my opinion. I think Kristen Press suggested or Abby Dahlkemper was on, and she said 4-2-3-1. I think look, it seems like the strategy is we have some of the best attackers in the world, and even I thought this before the World Cup started. I'm like, we're going to score a bunch of goals. I'm a little concerned about the defense, losing Becky Sauerbrunn, but we're going to score a bunch of goals, and it's the opposite. We can defend decently. We cannot score any goals, and that's really the issue. And it's not to blame any of the forwards. It's just
hard to score goals.
Very hard, and it's just that the midfield can't operate. I mean, and it's not even any individual player's fault. It's just it seems that the strategy is, and if I'm trying to get inside Vlatko's head, it seems like we have better players. Our better players will solve any problem on the pitch because our players are better, and that is not always enough, right? It seems like we have the best players on the pitch, but we don't have the best team on the pitch. We have just watched the United States lose to Sweden in where were they playing? In Australia? In Auckland?
Wow, who cares?
I don't know where they were. I think they were in Auckland, in New Zealand.
Bro, this is gut-wrenching. Difficult to watch. We wanted Vlatko to make changes. These weren't the changes in the lineup we requested, bro.
Look,
there
was some
gut-wrenching.
It's tough. There were some.
Are you going to sit here and try to pull positives from getting knocked out of second tournament in a row?
That is not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to address the fact that at the very least he did make changes to the lineup and he did change the formation. I'm not here to praise Vlatko because we have a lot of time here, and there will be plenty of criticism, and we even got some listener questions. We will get to a lot of that stuff. But if you're just talking about the lineup, he made some changes and changed the formation.
I'm still yawning.
Yeah, we have not slept, by the way.
That was not a reaction to what you were saying. That was more of a reaction to my body going, you stayed up for that? Yeah, I don't care about the changes. They weren't enough. The only change I care about now is a new head coach for the U.S. Women's National Team. This is what should have been the easiest job in women's football. You've got a squad full of absolute beasts. The only thing you had to do was place them in the right position and let them do their thing, and you didn't do that. And no disrespect to Vlatko, but this isn't enough. And yeah, granted, Haran's shot isn't stopped. Alex Morgan's header isn't saved. We're not talking about this, and maybe the feeling is a bit more positive moving forward. But because we've lost, you now got to look back and say, here's where the major failure points were. I mean, to me, the most suspect player coming in was Alyssa Nair, having an absolutely horrid year with her club, the Chicago Red Stars. I'm thinking, you don't want your number one to be a little, rickety coming in or a little bit lacking confidence. And she was absolutely stellar in the moments that we needed her to be. Outside of that one shot from Portugal, which luckily comes off the post, I thought she did incredibly well. Even became the first goalkeeper, I think, to score on a penalty in a World Cup.
Okay, that's
to
right.
score, or to convert a penalty, I should say. Absolutely, shut me up when it comes to Alyssa Nair. She's clearly able to be a number one, even if she's not playing well at her club. But after that, you get to the back line. I've got a lot of questions, and it's not questions of the players. It's questions of which players are chosen. When you get to the midfield, I've got a lot of questions. Again, not questions about the players, but questions about where they're chosen. And when it comes to the front three, I probably would have made a lot of the same or similar decisions. But if it wasn't for a midfield that couldn't really effectively get them the ball, and if it wasn't for Alex Morgan having what I guess now we would have to call a pretty bad tournament, or lackluster.
No goals. Yeah.
Huh?
No goals.
No
for
goals.
Alex Morgan. Yeah.
Not to say she wasn't influential, but this isn't your main striker. You can't come out with no goals 4 games in. That's it. To me, it's all the signs point back to Vlatko. I don't know him personally. I'm sure he's a great guy. I got nothing against the guy personally, but when it comes to this role, he was clearly above his pay grade. This was not. This shouldn't have. We shouldn't have gone out this way.
Without a doubt. I mean, I'm watching this game, and even in the first 10 minutes, my first thought is like, we could have been this team. We could have been this team 3 earlier matches, and we chose not to be, right?
We probably wouldn't have been playing Sweden if we had been that team.
Without a doubt.
For 3 games.
I just think about the game against Netherlands, and it's like no subs in that. It's like 1 goal in that game changes I think the confidence of the team, the outlook. The game against the game against Portugal is the result. That would have a draw would have been fine. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But just the decision. This is why I said this after the game against Portugal. I said we have no midfield. We need to fix that. And
we do, though. They're on the bench.
They're on the bench. I'm just saying, in these games, in the 3 games, we had no midfield, and we finally did. Put five midfielders there, right? And when we look at right there, Emily Sonnet, who I thought had an incredible game and was a great replacement for Rose Lavelle.
Probably not the name I would have picked, but she really, really played well.
Yes. Look, so Sonnet, Sullivan, Smith, Horan, and Rodman in the midfield, and then just 1 striker up top with Alex Morgan. This worked well. Trinity Rodman looked so much better.
She changes games, bro.
Dude, it was just they were good. They were objectively the better team. They just couldn't find a goal because of this damn Swedish goalkeeper, Musovic. Bro.
Or it might be Musovic.
I don't know, but she had the game of her career.
Look, I haven't gotten this confirmed, but I really do believe this. I think she had plexiglass glued to her hands because I couldn't see. I'm like, is there a force field around this woman that attracts the ball to her hands?
The shot from Lindsay Horan that she stopped. What an incredible save. How did she even see it? Dude,
how did she even see it?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe she got to that. That was just and it was right in it was going to hit the side netting. Just such a great shot. And the U.S. didn't have that many great shots, and that's the frustrating thing. Look, the bigger picture, as far as like tactically, I think they handled it right. And look, they couldn't score. And it's just so mind-boggling that before this tournament, I kept saying, "Yo, the defense worries me. We lost Sauerbrunn. What are we gonna look like defensively?" But I ain't worried because we gonna bag a bunch of goals. It's all good. It's gonna be maybe it's gonna be 7-6. Like, but we gonna win.
Bro, we so stacked. The problem is you can go 3 deep on our back line and we still gonna stop you. And what you gonna do when we score all of these goals? And all I heard was
my
and
dude.
Bro, we've got ballers up front.
We are
ballers. Sophia Smith, Trinity Rodman, Alex Morgan, Alyssa Thompson, Lynn Williams. These are buckets.
Yeah.
All of them.
So look,
how?
Just watching the U.S., what did you think were some of the biggest concerns or issues?
So I think for me, the the bit that got me was the width of the US national team. I didn't feel like there was a ton of width. I felt like Dunny and Foxy played quite narrow. And I think when your fullbacks play quite narrow, you need to get width off someone else, because otherwise the field gets compact and you can't pass to Rose Lavelle in a pocket because there isn't one, because the field's so compact. And then you're getting Soph Smith given that width and Rodman given that width. Well, it gets them a million miles away from goal, and you can't get them the ball. You kind of finding them in places where teams would like them to be, which is down by that corner flag and out the way.
Yeah.
So I think for me, tactically, in my opinion, I think getting width out of your fullback, someone like Sophia Huerta, like, I know I'm biased, but man, can she give width and cross the ball and pass to people in dangerous areas? And I think what that allows is the midfield then opens up, because the fullbacks aren't in there or anywhere near it. And then maybe we can find Rose Lavelle and Lindsay Horan in a seam to play a slip pass to someone, because our forwards are a little narrower and closer to goal. So yeah, I think the thing that was needed from me was, we need to get some width. We need some width and open this midfield up and give ourselves a chance to get our players in the best positions for them to do what they do best.
Okay, Scott. Well, the one thing I didn't tell you, that this is actually your interview for the U.S. Women's National Team coaching position, and you just nailed that question. So,
yeah, I think I'm a couple of cycles away from the one, but
no, it's a look. It's a thing we talk about a lot, and I think this World Cup for the U.S. Women's National Team and just the U.S. Women's program, it just kind of throws a wrench into what the expectations were and maybe what the future kind of looks like. Obviously, there are players that are going to be leaving, new players that are going to have opportunities, or players that are going to have a bigger role in the future. Given that you've worked with a lot of the players on the U.S. Women's National Team, what's the I mean, I'm sure there isn't necessarily a, being English, working with Americans. I'm sure there's a deep personal kind of feeling of wanting the players to succeed individually, and but also wanting maybe your country to do well as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm actually an American citizen now, so I can actually fully.
Let's go.
Let's go. So yeah. Yeah, I'm completely 100% invested in the US program and the federation, because it's the federation that's given me the opportunity to do what I do right now. Almost all of my coaching education's been through the US federation, and most of the players that I've coached in our wonderful league, we're going to try and win and compete for the US. So I'm a little bit torn. I don't feel that close to the Lionesses, but I am enjoying seeing what they're doing, seeing the way they're playing. Again, I think Serena's done an unbelievable job. Tactically super flexible. Maybe one other knock on us as a nation here is kind of sticking to that 4-3-3. When I seen the double pivot with Sonnet, I was doing backflips. Everyone thinks that's a defensive thing, but it's not. Again, if you've got 2 6s, you can't invert your fullbacks. They need to get away from the midfield and give us a little bit more balance. So yeah, I'm fully invested. But you do have to be careful, because obviously on our team right now we've got Angelina, Quinny, and Jordan Heitemer, and I also want the absolute best for them too. So you find yourself like a bit of a soccer dad or a soccer mum, just cheering for everyone. I want everyone to do great.
I just want my kids to have a good time, have fun. This has been a unique time. So, we're not used to seeing the U.S. Women's National Team lose, and it's been it's brought out the crazies, the weirdos, the people who definitely don't even watch games. No, yeah. They don't watch soccer, but they have a lot of opinions on women's soccer. So when you were writing an article and just kind of sifting through all this stuff, I'm sure it feels kind of gross, but what was it? What was how'd it go? How'd you do it?
What was kind of nice about being over there, and so I wrote that column literally my last night in Australia. Like, I was getting on a plane the next morning out of Sydney to go back home. And, that last day I had flown from Melbourne to Sydney just to basically put myself in proximity to the airport. And I was like, I'm going to book myself a nice little beach hotel and do this nice, beautiful coastal walk. And I had, I think, my first beer, honestly, in like probably 2 weeks because I got sick over there. So like I
Coors Light,
put myself in the
obviously
best.
Coors Light, so we all know that.
Yeah. Coors Light, very popular in Australia, famously. But I tried to like put myself in like this good, calm mental space before I got myself kind of very revved up again. Because one of the other things too is we were kind of watching throughout the tournament that there was this brewing rehash of some of the 2019 stuff, right? Like suddenly there was this new discussion about, well, they're not singing for the anthem. And we were we were all kind of talking to each other across like the media group of like, are you touching it? I don't want to touch it. Like, it's not people who care about the team. It's a bad faith attack. Like, if we give it oxygen, it takes off. Like, we don't want it to kind of pierce the bubble that we're in. So basically we kind of like put something together in case the issue got forced. And so I took a lot of what I had kind of put into place there and just started expanding it in terms of, this was, it was a moment that just a lot of people have been waiting for 4 years, right? And Megan Rapinoe is obviously just like a lightning rod of a person, but I think there is some comfort in the fact that it shows that they have cultural power in the US, that they are a threat to a certain segment of the population because, first of all, like, and it really is this simple, that they are women, but they are successful women, that they had this moment of failure, right? Which happens in sports. But suddenly it becoming about, well, they didn't sing for the anthem. They're deeply unpatriotic. You have Donald Trump popping up. And like so much of it too is also, it's a distraction from the fact that he's being indicted left and right, right? Like it's Nikki Haley trying to like glom onto something when she doesn't have good approval numbers right at the moment. She's trying to run for president. Like so much of it is just, I think I use the word craven, right? Like it's manufactured and it's just to score a point. And I think sometimes we forget that these are actual human beings on the other side of it. And that, I just think about like what's happened with Brittany Griner, right? In the WNBA, and that she, like her physical safety is currently in question. And so, and I've seen this for Megan Rapinoe, right? Like Megan Rapinoe has to have like extra security at games. And this is already the case. And now I think I'm honestly even more worried about it now, right? Because I think they do sense this kind of weakness or vulnerability. And so the column was not necessarily fun to write, but I think, I give full credit to my editor, Alex Abnos at The Athletic, because I kept joking, like the Key and Peele skit, like he was my anger translator, where I was just like truly like throwing fire. And I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to be this spicy. So you have to like bring it back into a level where it is going to like actually be published. But yeah, it was, I think it just kind of, you don't want to give it weight. You don't want to give those comments weight, but also at some point, I think you have to have a reality check. That's all it was.
It's an interesting thing of like, the not singing for the anthem, right? Which is like, I mean, did you watch, like if the people watch, if they actually did watch, plenty of countries people didn't sing the anthem, or some anthem didn't.
Some players do. Yeah. Also like, I have always found this fascinating too, because, and to be fair, I'm not an elite athlete in any way and never could be because my brain is not wired that way. But like, if I'm about to play in a World Cup game, honestly, my last thought is probably about singing that national anthem. I'm
trying to nail this anthem. I just gotta warm up my vocals before the game.
Right. So it's also like just not required. It's not required that you say.
Right. Yeah, it's
made up.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing of it being manufactured. There's always like a moving of goalposts. Like it's like. I mean, I hope we all like collectively understand that normal people don't get upset about this stuff. Like reasonable people, don't care. Like I mean, and whether you're very patriotic or not, wherever you lie on any political spectrum, like it's deeply unimportant whether people sing anthems or not. And you know when it
to be fair, also our anthem is terrible. Like it's terrible.
It doesn't even slap like that. Why?
No,
are you
it's not France. It's not like there's better ones.
I'll be honest. I don't even have the national anthem on my Spotify playlist. And if I'm un-American because of that, I mean, then it is what it is.